Is load management really taking college basketball by storm, or is there something you need to be concerned about with Sarah Strong? I'll discuss. This is Locked On UConn.
You are Locked On UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Tuesday night, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On UConn. I am Matt Schonvisky, two-time graduate, tenure credentialed media member and host of the only daily UConn sports podcast, Locked On UConn, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in the world. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you for making this your first listen each and every single day. On today's show, Sarah Strong sat out Saturday's game, sparking a lot of conversation. Is load management involved here, or is there something you need to be worried about with her as we move forward? Then, the aftermath of the loss at St. John's, why rebounding and free throws are two things the men need to fix ahead of Wednesday night. And then, men's and women's hockey combined for an unbeaten weekend. The women are now ranked 6th, the men 11th, ahead of big weekend matchups. We will talk UConn hockey in segment number 3. But first, today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. We put that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work. That defines you. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. So UConn once again returned to action on Saturday, beat Butler 80-48, improved to 25-0, 14-0 in Big East. AZ Fudd led the way, 17 points, 6 of 14 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. However, there was a key piece missing in the lineup on Saturday. And Geno talked about load management. This is a surprise. A notice was sent out to the media on Saturday morning. Sarah Strong is not going to play. Raised a lot of questions. Geno talked about it. I think there's more to just giving Sarah Strong rest than meets the eye. I think she's dealing with something. Geno insinuated that she's sore, which means there's something nagging her. It's not just, I'm LeBron, I'm old, I'm ready to sit down because this would be 3 games in 7 days. No. Sarah Strong's a sophomore in college. I do not believe that load management is taking the college basketball world by storm, especially a program led by Geno Auriemma. That's not going to take place here. That's not going to happen. You're here to play basketball. You're getting paid to play basketball, and you're going to play basketball. And in this program and the types of players that UConn recruits, if a player can play, she's not going to sit out. Just like on the men's side with Dan Hurley. They're not going to sit out unless there's a reason to sit out. So it's something to monitor as UConn returns to action tomorrow on Wednesday against Creighton. Because UConn's already down Blanca. Sarah Strong is supposed to be back on Wednesday. Let's see how she looks. Let's see if she's favoring anything. Blanca's shoulder injury is still keeping her out. Blanca will not play on Wednesday. We'll talk more about injuries on Wednesday morning ahead of the matchup with Creighton. But the topic du jour is Sarah Strong and load management. And I think there's more to the story than what some fans insinuated coming off Geno's comments over the weekend that she was out with some rest. He clarified on Tuesday, earlier today, that, hey, she was sore. And it's something that they've been monitoring in practice, my take. And the athletic trainers, along with the strength and conditioning coaches, felt that, hey, so a little bit of time off in game time action will help her long term, because you do not want to turn something that's sore into something that becomes hurt, becomes injured and causes her to miss time in tournament time. That's something that this team does not and cannot afford. UConn can cruise, as you saw on Saturday, 80-48. Was it 44-19 at the break? Without Sarah Strong? Alice Bell stepped in, 11 points, 4 of 6 from the field. 4 rebounds, 4 steals. in 31 minutes. So don't force things. This is the time of year where if a player is banged up and it could potentially turn into something, don't let it. So I think UConn was probably being overly cautious. Like Geno said, if she had to play, she could have played. If it was a tournament game, she probably would have played. She would have played. No doubt. But I think the cautious approach with Sarah Strong is the right approach, if there's something there. Because we've seen Blanca now out 4 games. And you want this team to be as healthy as it can possibly be when it comes to tournament time. Big East, NCAA, especially week 2 and 3 of the NCAA tournament. So, yes, your player who leads the Huskies in the top 5 categories, statistic-wise. Points, rebounds, blocks, steals, assists. Sarah Strong. You cannot lose that in marquee matchups. So UConn needs to play it safe, in my opinion. And I think there's definitely something there that needs to be monitored on Wednesday. And we'll talk more about that Wednesday morning in our pregame show. But I just want to reiterate, I think Geno and this women's program will never, ever be of the mindset that we need to rest players because they're being overworked. That's not going to happen. That will not happen on his watch. The mindset of LeBron and some of these other NBA players and NBA stars taking days off because they've played a number of games in a short period of time is just, I think back to Michael Jordan, the best player in the history of basketball. No question about it. He made a comment, every time I'm out there, I need to put in my best because I know somebody's put in hard-earned money, and this might be the first time that they and their child is watching me play. And I'm going to give them my top performance each and every time out there. Michael Jordan never took a day off. Michael Jordan never phoned it in. In the mindset of this day and age in the professional ranks, listen, maybe I'm old school, but I think it's absolutely ridiculous. You play 82 games in the NBA. You have a set schedule. You should be well-conditioned enough to be able to handle that schedule and not have to sit out every couple of weeks because you're getting old or you're worried about injury or you just wind down because maybe mentally you're not fully there, like a Kawhi Leonard, who started the load management under Greg Popovich way back when in San Antonio. So that is never going to enter the mindset of Geno or his women's program. I have zero doubts about that. I'm 100% confident about that. So when Sarah Strong missed Saturday, clearly something was up. And something is sore. And something needed to be rested, and it's not Sarah Strong. There's some type of nagging something or other that we'll keep an eye on and we'll monitor. And as soon as we know, you guys will know. But load management and Geno do not mix. I could guarantee you that. So we can put that narrative to bed right now. On the other side of the break, we will be looking at the aftermath of the men's loss on Friday to St. John's. What do they need to fix? Well, 2 things Dan Hurley talked about, which I agree with, rebounding and free throws. We'll talk about that on the other side. This is Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who show this more to the score than what's on screen. such as how AZ Fudd is performing each of the last 3 games, leading the team in scoring. With or without your top player, Sarah Strong, AZ Fudd continued to deliver. Against Tennessee, halftime, tie score. What happened? AZ Fudd stepped up. AZ Fudd led the way, 27 points. AZ Fudd led the way from 3, marched the Huskies to a 30-point win over Tennessee. Those types of performances remind us of what it really takes to raise the bar. It's the extra work off the court, dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, and the I never quit attitude. You think AZ Fudd will never quit? You bet your bottom dollar. AZ is one of those players that will always deliver, regardless of situation, regardless of time on the clock, regardless of the opponent, regardless of the spotlight. She will put that all beside her and lead the way. Her performances against Tennessee, against Butler, against DePaul, the last 3 games, prove that she is a player that lives up to the bar, just like Mazda. Mazda puts that same passion into every model. Highlights make the reel. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Today's episode is also brought to you by Wayfair. The new year is here, and it's the perfect time to reset your routine and refresh your space. If you're spending more time at home, you might as well love how it looks and feels. That's why you should turn to Wayfair. It's a one-stop shop for getting your home back on track. From bedding and mattresses to storage solutions for every room, Wayfair makes it easy to start the year fresh. Wayfair has everything you need for a full home refresh, all in one place. Whether you're updating your living room, organizing your space, or upgrading your work-from-home setup, Wayfair's huge selection makes it easy to find exactly what works for your style and budget. We, at my house, are redoing our master bedroom. Stripping ceilings and all. It's quite a mess. However, picking up new bedding and accent pillows from Wayfair makes it completely different and changes how our bedroom feels. It's cleaner, calmer, and more put together. We love that we could find pieces that matched our style without spending a fortune. Shopping is easy, delivery is smooth, and everything arrives exactly as expected. It honestly made getting back into a routine this new year feel a lot more manageable. Get organized, refreshed, and back on track this year for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. Back in on this Tuesday night edition, and we are talking men's basketball and the aftermath of the loss on Friday night to St. John's, where UConn, 2 things stood out. 2 things need to improve: rebounding, free throws. You cannot have a performance like you had on Friday night in future games. Dan Hurley talked about it nonstop. Post-game, he talked about it again on Monday ahead of their trip out to Indiana, as the Huskies will take on Butler on Wednesday, which we will preview in full on Wednesday. 2 games Wednesday. UConn women play Creighton. UConn men play Butler. We'll have full previews on Wednesday coming out Wednesday morning and Wednesday afternoon. Please keep a lookout for that. But on the men's side, the aftermath of St. John's, it's clear what needs to be fixed. And it will be fixed. It's an issue that we've talked about previously. And the loss came down to 2 things. And Dan Hurley continues to talk about it: rebounding, taking care of the ball, hitting free throws. Turnovers absolutely killed UConn on Friday night. Absolutely. And Darren Hurley's talked about the rebounding issue all season. I don't think he's ever been satisfied. He's been happy with the defensive performance, no doubt about it. I think everybody here can be happy with the Huskies' championship caliber defense. No doubt. But on the glass, there was a stretch where Terrace Reed was out with injury, of course. But you would think that UConn would be a little better on the glass than they have been. And they got out-rebounded against St. John's. To me, it wasn't drastic, however. But they still did get out-rebounded. And it's a key focus of Dan Hurley, so it's a key focus of ours on the show. You cannot give up defensive rebounds on free throws. No question. Like UConn did against St. John's. You cannot turn over the ball like UConn did against St. John's on Friday night at Madison Square Garden. You can't have a point guard turn it over 9 times. You can't commit 15 turnovers and only get 6 steals. You cannot be out-rebounded -6 on the glass. You cannot give up 9 offensive boards and only get 6 of your own. So if there's things to point to, those are the issues. But the fact of the matter remains, UConn is 12-1 in conference, 22-2 overall. That is the key thing to focus on, because I know UConn will get it together. Dan Hurley talked on Monday about Alex Caravan and how he takes losses harder than anyone else on the team. And it speaks to the mindset, it speaks to his character, it speaks to how seriously he takes this game. I think it also speaks to he knows that this is his final year. He knows that he's in his final season in college. He's a senior. He's been through the battles. He's been through 2 championships. He's also been through a season where they didn't reach their full potential for a myriad of reasons. They went out in the portal, fixed and identified areas and players to fill the gaps of what was missing, like defense, brought in a point guard like Silas Demery, and filled the gaps. And they have all the pieces to make this work. And they rattled off 18 straight wins. They rattled off 2+ months of consistent winning. Despite working through some things, despite figuring out rotations, despite getting healthy, despite not playing up to par in a number of games and keeping games closer than they should have been. I am not concerned with this team. I know Coach Hurley's got to be on top of things across the board. Did I like how UConn played on Friday night? No. I don't think they played to their true potential until they were down 60-49. And you saw that burst that got them right back in the game. That was the UConn I wanted to see the entire night. I think, and Dan Hurley talked about this, we got punked. They got pushed around. And they did. UConn did go up early. Terrence Reed started talking some noise. And I think when you did that, I think it sparked something in Ejiofor that led to his 21-10 and 7 assists. I would like you to focus more on the game rather than the game inside the game. I would like to see that. Because I'm more about wins and championships than the talk. Let your game do the talking. I like the attitude and I like the mindset. I do. Don't get me wrong. But this program and where we're at, we care more about titles. And saying, hey, you're a little too small for me. We care about winning and getting boards and not turning the ball over. And then, hey, maybe you're a little too small for me. Yeah, you get my point? I'd rather have a win and do less talking. And maybe it's part of your game. Listen, Michael Jordan was the biggest talker in the game. He would badmouth anybody. No doubt about it. His game backed it up. His results backed it up. His performance backed it up. We're seeing a lot of talking from UConn of late. I like to see less of that and let your game do the talking. I like to see Silas Demery continue to dunk on people and continue to play strong defense and not turn it over in key moments and make free throws in key moments rather than focusing on getting in players' faces after you have a dunk. Love the energy. Love the mindset. Love the compete. Let your game do the talking. Focus more on the task at hand rather than the game within the game. Just my opinion. Now, Cam Spencer, he did a lot of talking as well, and I love that. Of course. I love that aspect of the basketball. Don't get me wrong. But when you're in a game that you lose by 9, you turn it over 9 times, and you give up some rebounds on the glass. And there were other moments during the game that maybe you weren't really focusing on the game. That's also something that I want to see fixed going forward. And will UConn fix it? Absolutely. No doubt about it. Are they going to out-rebound Butler? I'm going to say yes. Are they going to be better at the free throw line? I'm going to say yes. Are they going to focus at the task at hand and come away with a dominant win? I'm going to say yes. And we'll talk more about the game at Butler on Wednesday. But that's just a bit of the aftermath. What Dan Hurley's talking about. What are my thoughts on what transpired on Friday night? On the other side, we're going to be switching gears to UConn hockey, both on the men's and women's side. They're having spectacular years. Both are ranked in the top 10 or top 11. And they have big weekend matchups coming up that I want to talk about. So we'll be switching gears to the ice after the break. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction. Live in Connecticut, work in a different state, they have you covered. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. Again, for a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. All you got to do, file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. Again, TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. Back in for our final segment on Locked On UConn, and we are switching gears to UConn hockey. And let's start with the women, who had 2 games this past weekend. Friday night at Providence, Saturday at home against Boston College. Friday night was a 2-1 overtime win for the Huskies on the road. Saturday, 6-2 over Boston College. And a player that really stood out this weekend, Megan Woodworth, she's a senior. She had quite the weekend. Friday night, she had an assist in the 2-1 overtime win. On Saturday, she had 2 goals and another assist over Boston College. She leads the team in scoring, 13 goals on the season. First on the team. She's got 22 points overall, 3rd on the team. 13 goals, 9 assists. Pacing this UConn attack that they're number 6 in the nation. And if you think back to New Year's show, we had New Year's predictions for 2026. One of those predictions was UConn was going to take home some hardware other than on the basketball court in the spring, in the winter. And I was talking about the ice. Because both the men's and the women's side are competing nationally and are in the conversation for a national championship. The way the women have performed Like I said, now number 6 in the nation. They're 21-7-2 overall. 14-5-1 in Hockey East. They're 10-2-1 away from home. They take care of business away from Toscano Ice. And that is something that is very important as you get into tournament play, as you get into NCAA tournament, because you don't know where you're going to be seated. You don't know exactly where you're going to play. And this team is tried and tested on the road. Have lost twice away from home. At home, they're 11-5-1. But on the road, they're even better. And the job that this coaching staff has done, led by Chris McKenzie, just a spectacular job leading this UConn women's program. Continuously improving this team year after year after year after year. He's been here for 13 seasons as a head coach. 13. And they've continuously gotten better and better and better. They've won the last 2 regular season Hockey East titles. And I expect them to do the same again this year, postseason. And then who knows what's going to happen in NCAA. Because this is a team talented enough to go out and win a national championship. The talent on this team, the depth on this team, the scoring on this team, it's there. And what's been an integral part of this has been Toscano Ice. The new barn on campus has really led to an uptick recruiting-wise. And has taken this program to another level. One that is, like I said, 6th nationally. So, of course, the basketball programs, both men's and women's, are getting all the airtime. But this women's team on the ice is something to keep an eye on, as is the men, who also came away winners this past weekend. The men remained ranked 11th nationally. Just like the other programs right now, they're on a tear. They won 3 straight. Just like the women, they are dominant away from home. 9-1-1. Like the women, they've only lost 7 games. They're 6-6-2 at home. That needs to be fixed. But overall, 16-7-3. 11th nationally. 3 straight wins, including the trip up to Northeastern this past Friday night. A 2-0 win. It's something that I hope UConn Nation is paying attention to. Because this team and these programs are excelling and only getting better each and every time out. They've got a big week ahead, big weekend ahead, the men's program does. As they continue Hockey East play, they go on the road for 2 games up in Maine, Friday and Saturday. Friday night, 7 p.m. Saturday, 7 p.m. Both games you can see on ESPN Plus. An opportunity to continue the hot streak that this program is on. And Mike Cavanaugh, is he one of the most underrated coaches at the university? Another coach who came to UConn, got the program to excel, and has chosen to stay at UConn. UConn is currently tied with Boston College in second place in Hockey East. Providence is running away with the top spot. But UConn is a strong number 2 with Boston College. Both played 31 games. Both have played 16 games. Both have 31 points. And there is that game against Boston College coming up. They've got a series coming up in a couple weekends. One up in Boston, one in Hartford. I think you're going to see a tremendous turnout, tremendous demand for that game at People's Bank Arena. I think it's something we need to start paying attention to here in the state. Because both of these programs have a chance to compete for a national title. Will both win it? Probably not. But they are both in the conversation. So after the trip up to Maine, you've got Boston College next weekend. Friday night, the 20th, they're in Chestnut Hill. Saturday, 3 p.m., February 21st, I expect a raucous, packed People's Bank Arena for the rivalry game between UConn and Boston College. Circle the calendar. If you have an opportunity to get out there, I think this team and this program deserves the support. Because as you know, Connecticut likes winners. And both of these programs are putting up at just the right time. Just like on the basketball side, we're starting to see an uptick in performance, despite the men's loss. I think we're seeing an uptick in performance on the ice as well. So as we continue through February into March, we are going to stay closely in tune with the hockey programs. We're going to try to get some coaches and some players on the show to talk about the success of this year, to start previewing Hockey East, the Hockey East tournament, and looking ahead to the NCAA tournament as well. So you can keep an eye on that. As we flip the script to Wednesday, both basketball programs are back in action. We will have full previews on Wednesday. So keep an eye out for those. And certainly as we move forward here, we will keep an eye out for football as they start spring practice later this month. So that wraps up today's show. As we close, please hit the like and subscribe button. And thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Locked On UConn. If you are an everydayer and never miss an episode, it's time to make it official. Join the Locked On Everydayer Club and get ad-free audio, access to our members-only Discord, and more. All built for our most loyal fans. Visit LockedOnPodcast.com/everydayerclub for more information. And as we close today, like I said, keep an eye out for both game previews for the men's and women's program on Wednesday. And as we close, as always, go Huskies!